All right, so we're gonna do roll call.
Roll call. Fleming Godikson here.
Mark Hart here.
And anticipating Dr. McGuire.
All right, number 3 is approval of minutes, 3.1.
So moved.
Seconded. Aye.
Aye. Those passes, passing to nothing. And approval of the agenda.
You're moving. I second.
Yes.
And
Passing to nothing. Then we are with Mr. Gabriel, 5.1 upcoming board meetings and topics.
Just like in past meetings, we will just be bringing a slew of renewals to the table.
so then,
Dr. McGuire.
Sure.
okay.
Yeah, Dr. McGuire's on her way in.
Let her know we're here, so she'll.
Oh, yeah, you'd be comfortable for, so then, moving on to 5.2, comprehensive plan.
I think there is a one pager that just has a and upcoming steps we have taken and are taking in order to get the comprehensive plan process up and running.
And then you have already had the survey up, right?
The survey is currently open and will close on Monday the 19th.
Okay.
But we'll share with the board after that the results. We'll get the committee together probably in June. And then move forward from there.
Okay, are we doing this through the IU again as we did last time?
Yes, I've been working with Chad Evans to sync up his schedule and hours.
Okay,
I hope is to get a communication out on Friday to everybody on the committee with some upcoming dates.
okay. Any questions? All right, anything else from you on the comprehensive plan? Or can we move on to 5.3, planetarium, refresh options?
So we have been, as you all know, the Betty Health Planetarium has been closed, so to speak, since COVID. We have been exploring ways to help to get this rejuvenated.
Are there any ways of finding corporates, funding, sponsorships that would help, some of these expenses down the line? Because I thought it was a pretty sizable amount, in 26,
So
27.
in our plan, yes, in our plan, is all we're asking for year one is a capital fund approval.
Of the 86,000.
Fund approval.
But once we start, obviously then we're committed to
Yeah.
the whole thing down the road, so. Is there any way to make our money back on that in any way? Hosting events?
In the note. Yeah, so if you look through the plan over the next couple of years, and if you look in the notes, the plan is made with DEF, as well as the Alumni Association to start talking about fundraising, potential outreach to donors. And then we missed the window this year, but there are NASA grants for things like this. So we would look to start to explore those as well. But to your point, Mr. Godikson, or Mr. Ginnard, yes, our hope is to, as we start to build this out, we can start to charge districts for field trips as well as the community for events outside the school day.
Could this be made available to other school districts, or is it just?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, and we already mentioned it at the county IU meetings, and people are excited
I was just gonna ask, because we had Fab, lab, from the IU right here in Warminster, and if there was a way of maybe tying those two things together.
So I absolutely love the idea of the planetarium. They're so cool. It's a great thing to do. But because it's a very significant amount of money and it's been, a couple of years that it's not been used, I think it just makes sense to fully investigate all the different grants, funding sources first and see where we stand before we make any sort of financial commitment, right? Because once we make the 86-2, we're in for the 300 or more because you don't spend that and not keep going. So I would like to see us get a solid answer on funding first.
So that won't happen for another year. So then this is a $1.5 million asset that's not being used.
Right, but it's not costing us tonight.
Significant money into. What we can do with the 86 is start by at least offering internal use with older software in terms of projectors, reevaluate in spring, and make the decision to see if we want to go bigger and more expensive to then charge on the
And
a year, they're not interested. Yeah.
Anthony, can I just clarify something?
Joe.
Just for our own clarity, the 86250 is what we need to get this operational, if only for use for our students, correct?
Well, correct.
So
Right now, it's not, I just wanted to clarify, Mr. Gayheart, because it was a good question.
right.
It is sitting empty.
Right,
We're
right.
not
It's
using it
not
for
being
astronomy
used,
classes, internal field trips, anything.
So what my question is if the 86-2 gets it up and running for us internally, what's the difference? Why all the extra money for outside people? Working is working, right? I mean, if we get it working, it's working, right?
Anthony, you want to address that?
I couldn't hear him.
So, yeah, my question is, if we spend the 86 and get it up and running and it's working for our students internally, working is working, right? So why do we need to spend the extra money to have outside agencies use it if that upgrade gets it working and it's working?
No, we don't, right? So we don't have to go beyond just our own students, right? That's an option. So I think the ask is only if you look at the cover sheet in the approval section of this is only asking to approve year one of this plan. That's it. Get it up and running with our capital funds, spend $7,000 on some software, and we'll stop there. And then we can evaluate in spring. That'll give us a year to look for grant opportunities,
Partnerships.
look for sponsorships,
Yep.
talk with CEF, talk with the Alumni Association, work with our community partners, and then scope out a business plan, which is in the works already. We have some high school kids working with Dr. Caracappo on that to see if we can raise the money to do the $300,000 for the dual projectors. And then that would be a second approval in another year to say, hey, we have found all this funding, right? We found all these sponsorships. We do think we can make money off of this and make it, available to local schools in Bucks and Montgomery counties that want to do field trips, which we can charge them for, as well as run community events, community movies, birthdays, things of that nature, all which would come at an expense, obviously, that we would make money back. So the approval right now, just for clarity, I think to Joe's point is, it's just for year one, which is spending 86 out of capital, spend the $7,000 out of teaching and learning, let's get it up and running. For internal use for our courses at the high school, for our middle school courses, our elementary schools. If that's as far as we get over the next few years, then that's as far as we get. But the goal would then be giving us, we would have to place the order now to get the summer going, to get the technology in and install. That would then give us a year, Mr. Gayheart, to your point, to explore grants, other funding sources before we even commit to years 2 and beyond.
Okay, so I just want to be clear, so it's clear in my head. So if the 86 will get it up and running, and if we don't find other funding sources, short of equipment breakdown or something like that, we can pretty much stop at the 86 and we'll have it in perpetuity in-house,
Right.
unless we need to fix something. But other than that,
Years until at some point, projections are going to be upgraded.
well, right, at some point, right.
But we just don't know
Right, and that's like with anything else, it just ages out, but
Yes.
that will get us up and
Yeah,
running for
it's
years.
I,
And we can stop there until we find out.
yeah, we talked about this, right, we talked about this, Anthony, kind of being in two phases. Just very frankly, because it sat dormant, to get it up and running for internal use at the high school for electives, internal field trips, which does save us money on the back end immediately, so we're not sending buses and field trip costs outside the district. The second shoe to drop on that, Mr. Ginhart, and I'll say this this could be a cash cow for the district, because then when you get partnerships and grants, you make it external facing and open to the public,
Oh, yeah,
other school districts. We've had
it's
outreach.
great PR.
Anthony knows this goes back pre-pandemic, but we had districts like Penridge reaching out to OTL because they don't want to schlep kids down to Philadelphia from Quakertown and Percy. They could rather just stay in county and use planetarium. So we have that need, that interest is out there.
I don't know. There's the planetarium, it was run.
We're one of only 4 high schools in the state that have a planetarium. There's only
And-
4.
See, I've never seen it, so
it's gorgeous.
before the pandemic, it
Yeah.
was open and you had people coming in and out.
It was dedicated, several years ago,
2018.
And renamed
Yes.
Betty Off
Yes,
Planetarium.
yes.
And she was very instrumental, back in the
Yes.
time,
It was used, Dr. McGuire, mainly internally only.
Right.
And I'll say this with judgment, only in my time here, very sporadically,
Mhm,
very sporadically.
mhm.
There was never a grander strategy or plan for phase 2 and 3 here to say, we need to open this up. We need to partner with the Fab Lab to just move down the road from the IU.
Yeah.
We've got NASA to partner with. We're the hub here of NASA.
Yeah, we got the future.
At the Fuge right here. I mean, there's from putting my teacher hat on, a school district can come here and spend a day between the Fuge, going to the Fab Lab, and our planetarium. You could rotate kids around,
Mhm.
and that's revenue for the district. That's just waiting to be had in that space.
So
And on top of that, I just know that the IU were given a $450,000 grant, with
Right.
corporate sponsorship, so.
And Anthony's already had the IU, he's already done outreach with the IU.
And the Fuge has donated money before
Yes.
to us
Yes.
as
and yeah, we
well.
could work in tandem.
Yes, correct.
So,
Right.
so again, my question is, if we spend the 86 and we get it up and running for
Yes.
internal use, what's the difference between internal use and letting outside people come in? Because once it's running, it's running. So if it works for our people, why can't we use the 86,000 and have other people come, outside agencies come in without us spending the extra money?
It's a
Because
great
working is
question.
working, right?
Working is working, but I think, and Anthony will correct me if I'm wrong, this is like an
Yeah.
old automobile that's been sitting in the barn for a couple of years.
Okay.
We just have to get it up and running. You can see even in stage 2,
Right,
we have to update the software package. We only have like 4 shows, Mr. Ginhart.
okay,
Only 4 programs that we have gone to the before times.
Okay.
Even if we kept it internal, we have new curriculum, we have new electives. We'd want to buy new programs, software to upgrade it, even just
okay.
if we use it
So
internally.
the 86 gets it physically working, but then we have to look at getting it up to date with current.
Am I explaining that right, Ian?
Is that what it is?
You are, Mr. Russ. It's both the quality of the programming. So like the catalog, so to speak, doesn't exist right now beyond just a handful of stuff, but then also the quality of the picture, right? So we're gonna be running a brand new software, it's like putting a brand new engine in a 1950 Chevy, right? Like it'll run, right? And it'll get the job done, but is it really gonna, right? Are we gonna be able to say to somebody, hey, we're gonna charge you to bring your kids here, but look at the fuzzy, grainy picture?
Okay.
Right, so I think if we choose to expand it beyond, again, I think giving us a year internal only,
Right,
we can get it back to the steel standards, and we can, the high school is talking about putting an astronomy elective in, that would run out of there every day,
okay,
as an elective class, if we can end with all the new curriculums, as Mr. Ross mentioned, there's a lot of alignment between wit and wisdom and
Right.
the social
Okay,
studies,
right.
English curriculums, and, and the science curriculums we're moving towards with this, that we think will get robust.
okay. So it's,
And we can work out the
Right.
kinks of the process and get the kids over, and what the transition looks like, then spend the year looking for partnerships for grants. Like I said, NASA has a series of grants that I just learned about. So that would be something we'd start to explore this summer and the next year to see what we could get. I know the local, the state rec has given money to the district for things, if they start requiring, you mentioned the huge, right? Like there are opportunities out there, we just haven't really gone
Right.
with it yet.
So it's good enough,
And the board's approval to at least take the first step.
so it'll get us operating enough,
Running next year, it's then starting to do all the outreach for funding.
so to get us operating at basically almost like a suboptimal level, but good enough for internal, but not quite
Right,
good enough to go
right.
outside.
Right
and
now, I
bring people in,
have,
Because then they're not getting their money.
right, we have a third grade unit,
Okay.
right,
Makes sense.
on
Okay.
oceanography. I can't bring the third grade over right now to show them a program because it's not running, and I don't have a program to project on oceanography. I've got US history at the middle school in 8th grade. They're chomping at the bit to come over, planetarium, watch a US history program for 40 minutes and do some breakout groups and some work over there. It's cross subject areas, but we can't even do any of that
So it's like
internally.
just astronomy stuff, we could do.
Oh,
other
absolute
stuff,
art.
Projections.
Oh, history?
That's pretty cool.
How
my
many people
gosh.
can that, or kids or whatever, can it hold?
Anthony, we're at about 66 now, but we would look to expand that, correct?
So the guy that came out the other week, we had the company that put this together for us years ago, came out and did an assessment. So we currently have, I think it's right, you're right, about 66 seats currently. But he believes, and we have to double check with the fire marshal and get it to come back out and actually fully measure. He believes there's room for a good number of seats more. And the idea too is, I think Mr. Russ kind of alluded to this, is identifying a classroom in the high school that would be a flexible space that when groups came over, we could have kids do some hands-on work in a classroom and kind of move back and forth between both the planetarium for the show and then do some either pre-learning or follow-up learning in a classroom over there in a space that's flexibly available. So they could do some hands-on STEAM-related building and then go in and watch a film on that same topic or vice versa.
But if an outside group, thank you, comes in, they're not gonna be here as long as our own kids would be.
Correct.
Okay, so, and then you have to get the insurance and
Yes.
all this.
Yes.
So do you, other question related to that is, taking the 86,000, is that gonna impact anything else? Because we're in budget season.
Sorry, that's a capital fund conversation, and so it'll just depend on what other projects we have planned.
But are there anything else that's critical that we need, that we have to spend money on?
Moving forward.
Well, I'll have to talk to Mr. Wertz about it. I know we're coming up on, like, there's roofs, there's HVACs, there's things that we're trying to
Us as-
build the capital fund for. Oh, I mean, this thing is super cool now.
Well,
know.
it is, I mean, this is.
And just the PR and the outreach and.
Right.
Yeah, just,
It's a gem to have.
it is, yeah, it's a good word for it. And I think, yeah, I mean, 86 is a big number, but it's not like.
It's not
the year,
outrageous.
It's not outrageous, and if it gets it, so we can at least,
And we- we-
In our technology world, that's a small number for capital.
Right.
yeah.
And it's,
And what
and
we
we
can
get
offer.
reevaluated in next year.
Yeah. And if we don't find the funding, we can do with that 86, just keep going in-house until we figure out a way. So we're not absolutely locked into those bigger numbers.
No.
We can just
No.
keep going in-house until we find a way
As,
to
as,
fund
as
it.
Mr. Gabriel said, we have to take the baby step
Right,
of year one
right.
to even consider that, then we take a pause and now we can consider expanding out any other phases.
And
And, yeah, I
And you're
think-
hearing interest in it,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
people who remember it.
And I think for what it's gonna give our kids 86 is a small number for
We
what.
gotta start and see what
What it's gonna give,
happens,
yeah.
see how they like it, especially if it aligns with the curriculum and everything, that's not a huge number, I can
Right.
say that if we.
Yeah, I know.
We're all,
But-
we're
but
all
when you look
gonna
at-
pay taxes, so,
But,
but,
Yeah.
but it's something that it sounds cool, and,
I think there is,
there's a lot of people, I'm sure they could get, grants and everything, and then you're gonna get your money back, hopefully, if you
and
charge
there's something to
something.
be said for looking for grants and help once it's up and running.
I
So
think
look
it'll
what
be
we're doing, we just wanna make it
self-sustaining,
better.
Right.
renewal of,
Yep.
updates and so forth.
Okay, so what kind of questions do you think at a board meeting would somebody be asking besides the ones that we're asking? What do you think?
Well, the ones that you will see questions from is
The same things we
Mrs.
asked?
Lynch, because she has a history with this. So-
Oh, yes, no?
No, I think she would be very much in favor,
Okay.
because she has also a long history with Betty Hoff, so.
Yeah, it's just, where we're gonna find the money, but it's extremely student facing and student improvement, so
Mhm.
I think that's a pretty easy sell, because it's not, again, the same, I mean, I think.
Have you talked to the Fuge?
Anthony, I don't know if we've talked to the Fuge yet.
We have not taken any steps.
Johnson.
We wanted to have this conversation first and get approval from the board that we were okay to at least start with year one before we spend any time on this. So if it makes it through next, on the 27th, as, hey, we're good to start with at least year one. And a lot of next year will be outreach with everybody. Yeah, we didn't want to put any time or effort into this. We weren't going to get to go ahead, so to speak, till we start the process.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 5.4, where everyone belongs. I don't know if Mr. Wilson is there or not.
So, thanks a lot. Taking a look at the agenda, we had, the everyone belongs, right? And the perfect segue, as Anthony wrapped up, when we're talking about approval for year one, is, we're really excited about what was presented, to us, to administration by, Mr. Goldenberg and Mr. Hayes, the everyone belongs. Another word for it is the sixth grade ambassador program. So I've asked Mr. Goldenberg to come today to the education committee, go ahead and speak to it. You've also received the supporting documents and impact statement. That's a lot of the drill down stuff in terms of the ambassador program. Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot of the drill down stuff. So if you have a copy of that, you can go ahead and read that at your leisure as well. But I really wanted approval for year one to hear from Mr. Goldenberg, who's representing both middle schools, because I think this is a worthwhile initiative for our rising students in middle school, capture them early and support them all the way through at minimal cost, quite honestly, for the impact that we're going to get from having such a program. So Mr. Goldenberg, if you wouldn't mind, if you would just go ahead and jump into speaking to the actual program itself, and then we can jump back and forth there.
Sure, I'll keep it simple. So every year we have new sixth graders that come into the building. It's a big deal for them. They go from, you're going to experience this a couple times as a student, from being the oldest, the biggest, to suddenly the youngest and smallest in this new place, which is middle school, where they're changing classes every day and they're seeing a lot of new faces. They're mixing in with another school. So one of the things that we wanted to do was make those students feel more welcome upon arriving. So we do some things already. We have some tours that we do where they can come in with their families. The building's open at various times, during the school year and over the summer. But what we wanted to try to do was to build some capacity with our 7th going into 8th graders, so our rising 8th graders, where essentially they could think of them as like camp counselors or leaders. And what the program breaks down into is really two things. The first part of this is that we get our soon-to-be 6th graders to come in one day over the summer. And then prior to that, we train our current 7th, soon-to-be 8th graders in how to run some of these activities you can see up here. Some icebreakers, like a buddy system. And basically what they would do is run like a half day with the students, where they have the chance to come in our buildings over the summer, to have our 8th graders work with them, and basically have like a half day where they get introduced to the school by some of our current students. So it teaches them to be leaders. It teaches our 5th graders to get to know the building a little bit, to get to know one another a little bit. So then when they come to school a week later, they've met some people, they've met some of the teachers that are gonna be working with our 8th graders, and they know some of the 8th graders that are in the building. So it's really nothing more than an orientation, which then kind of lends itself to some future help during the school year. And for you guys, really the only thing that we need as far as a commitment is just to get us transportation for the day.
So is this a program that we're buying?
No, it's not.
Okay,
It's something you just named and wanted to.
No, it's something that does exist, that we had a teacher that had come into Klinger that talked about it with Mr. Hayes. Mr. Hayes sold me on the idea. It's an easy sell. It's good for our kids. It's minimal cost. Like I said, it's transportation is really the big request.
so
But
yeah,
you're talking about doing this over the summer,
Correct.
so
The week
how are you
before
gonna
school.
get?
About a week before school starts.
Transportation to work.
That's it. That's the big ask.
so yeah, I looked this up and I saw a lot of different districts that do this, and they're all loving it. Like, it's great, the kids love it, it's a great, like you said, coming into the school, it's a great transition. it's a great program, so.
So just, the way that something like this would work beyond this is we would, inform our elementary schools about it. They know about it a little bit already, but not too many details because we have to get it approved first. But just work on coordinating, getting the word out to our 5th grade students and parents, and then setting up a schedule to be able to get them into the building. And then from there, we would have our own training going on with our own students, and then we would have that day in the building.
But you need to have, to pay for this building being open and faculty?
Well, the building would be open already. We're always open by that time, and the
Okay.
cleaning is already done by the date that we have projected. We're looking at the date to be August 21st tentatively. The training dates for our current 7th, soon to be 8th graders, I'm just gonna say rising 8th graders from now. The training for our rising 8th graders would be on August 19th and 20th. They would come in for like 2.5 days. And we have 2 teachers at each building that would be the people on site that would be assisting, in addition to myself and my assistant principal, and the same thing over at Klinger.
So the idea is to bring 8th graders in and 6th graders, or, new 6th graders.
Correct. Yeah, the idea would be, let's just say a ballpark, anywhere from like 25 to 40 8th graders as the trainers and as the counselors, we'll call them. And then however many 5th graders that we get. So we don't know what that number will be yet because we've never done this before. So this will be the first time putting it out there. I'm imagining we'd probably get pretty good numbers. I would say I'd expect at least half the kids to come, but I don't know that.
Yeah, it's not based on
Will there be a registration system, or how are you anticipating finding?
That's the next part, is us just kind of organizing that.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought.
So-
No, I
Well,
getting delayed, I'm like, okay.
So we're not
Um,
buying a program, we're doing it in-house,
Correct.
and pretty much the costs are 4 teachers and transportation, more or less.
Yeah, and
Because 2 per building.
exactly.
So 2 staff to
There's
cover.
a lunch bunch meeting in there as well, but that's.
Yeah.
What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The lunch punch meeting is not
Oh,
something that would
lunch.
require funding
Right.
though. That's just, there is a lunch with this, but our plan as of right now is reaching out to our student council to cover that because they have money from fundraising.
We'll come out of cafeteria funds, or can we not do that?
We could, if you guys,
Even CES support, but right now they're going
No, I
to
do, yeah.
reach out, on another way to try to, defer that cost.
But they have to come in and get their computers, right, or they don't think.
Not for
they can
this.
use them.
Not
No,
for
but
this.
so I'm
This
just
is
saying
more-
that kids have to come in anyway that week, pick up computers, so would they think about maybe staying, and that might, or go, or sign up for this, or?
I don't have any information about like the computer delivery for
Yeah.
for next year yet. So
Okay,
I didn't tie that into this at all. And this is only 6th grade too, so.
Seems like the investment would be minimal for it to be a fantastic program. Try and find out, right?
So it's a team building leadership program.
Yeah.
And and just to add one more piece on here, about 5 years ago, I reached out to, maybe it was less than that, maybe it was like 3 or 4 years ago, I reached out to Rachel Holler at the Bucks County IU. And at Log College, at least, what we were finding was that our 6th graders traditionally were the group that scored the lowest based on what their expectations were on their PSSAs. So we reached out to the IU and asked about that. And what they found was a direct correlation to whatever school a student started their first year at middle school. So in districts where they start 7th grade was their drop. Where they started 6th grade was their drop. And part of what we saw with some of our survey data too is that our students coming in, that it's a new experience for them. It's like a frightening and big experience coming into a new school building. So we were trying to find ways to make them feel more comfortable and settled in quicker. And I'll give Mr. Hayes credit on this one. This was his idea, and I'm 100% on board with it. I think it's a really good idea.
middle school's the worst
Yeah.
years.
You have related that to some of the data collection.
I'm gonna get
Yeah,
Mosh.
national.
So,
Yeah, this is what we're talking about. We see that in county, state, and national.
So we don't know how much right now, right?
So it's for us. I mean, I honestly think that the only thing that we would have to get, assistance with would be transportation.
I'm
Do
just
you
thinking
already,
of one
are
bus.
you using counselors or are you using teachers?
Teachers.
Yes, it's teachers.
We do, however, we have programs within our buildings that those are functions that can fall within the clubs that they already run.
So I'm thinking of just one bus each, but no, because of the community.
Because you
It
don't.
depends how many students do it.
Right.
If we only had like 40 kids that sign up, we could probably get around with one bus.
Oh, you wanna do transportation,
But
not
if we
have
had-
parent drop off?
I'd love to do both, but it's if we're gonna try to be equitable and make sure everybody can do it,
I
we
know.
wanna have that
Yeah,
as an option.
would this be like pay with co-curriculars then, since it's club stuff, or?
It could be, that's, for just right now, Mr. Hayes has a club called Builders Club, and I have a club called Kindness Club.
Okay.
And they kind of both perform these functions, and we can build them into their job descriptions for those clubs, and they could do it through that.
Yes.
See, this
As
is-
a possibility, I currently like the standalone, separate from the attaching it to co-curricular, because that's stuff that's, we would have to change up some things. And we're currently in talks anyway,
Okay.
with, CEA regarding, the work that we have assigned to co-curriculars. Keeping it clean and keeping it separated, with minimal cost to the district, kind of keeps this thing, clean and away from any back and forth that we would need to do, going back into, already approved, the agreement that we already have with CEA right now around co-curriculars. And once again, at minimal cost. So what's being asked for at this time is, because there's some talks that still need to happen around transportation. As soon as they get a sense, like we know our cost of what it costs Karen, in order to operate a bus, but we do that by students, and not until we put this out there and get the number of students who are interested, can they go ahead and calculate that number. At this phase, it's conceptually really seeking approval that they can move forward with this.
Well, you do
I will
is.
tell you
Oh,
that
sorry.
I've done this before as a middle school principal myself in a far more ambitious way. I like this version of it though. When I did it, in a different district, we packed all the kids up and we took them up to the Poconos for this leadership type building thing, and it cost us a ton, right?
Yeah.
So overnight and the whole deal for the same outcome. I like this in a more localized way, limited expense. I think both Martin Hayes and Mr. And Pat yourself, you did a good job with this, and so that's our ask as far as this moving forward.
Okay, you'll do a survey with the kids and see, if it's for doable for the following year as well, and like.
Like, we've already reached out to our rising eighth graders, and we have students interested to come and do it over the summer.
And the fifth graders are coming now to visit the schools, right? Aren't they-
They've
they-
already visited us.
Okay, couldn't talk about it. What was the other thing? I'm concerned about the title only because it might,
Well, it is a program, so.
I
it's-
know,
yeah.
I know, I'm just thinking about the backlash, not me personally, but it's a thought. But,
It is.
I think it sounds great, the program, and, what do you guys say?
I'm okay with it. The only thing that I could see, would be to establish some sort of fee with it so that we could bring that cost down, and not cost the district anything.
That might say,
Because it's a club thing. it's a
I
thing,
understand, but then you might, to make,
But we've already done,
But it's a free and open, it's not a mandatory thing.
It's
no,
not mandatory, no.
but somebody might not be able to join if they don't have the money.
people not be able to
But
take
it's,
advantage.
you could still do it like, with scholarship money or, in-kind support.
From where?
Yeah,
So
just-
we would like to move this forward if I'm hearing agreement, for approval to the body.
I am in favor of it, either way, but I'm just, looking to see, is there a way of finding, a way to cut the cost down?
After the survey stuff and, in terms of getting the, total students' interest, we can certainly drill that more. Hey, Pat, if we make the assumption on 100% participation, we never get 100% participation. We can crunch out, that transportation cost times all of the rising students, even though we know we won't get that. And then, share that number, when it goes up. With the caveat that, this is the worst case scenario. However, we never get 100%. That make sense?
It does. I will say, I think that a lot of people will drop their kids off. Like, I think so too.
That's what I'm saying. We can say 100%.
But we're probably gonna need at least a bus for each school.
And we can factor in the cost of teachers.
I'm gonna get that between drop-offs and everything else. that transportation cost will be a lot less than that, obviously.
And we talking about half a day or not a?
So it would be for the eighth graders when they come in, they'd be coming in 3 times. They'd have to get there on their own. That would be their training. And then the actual implementation day for the orientation day. The 6th graders just come in 1 time. So the first 2 days are teaching the kids, this is what you're gonna do when all these 6th graders show up. The 3rd day is when they actually show up.
And that's it. So it's basically 3 days.
Yep. 1 day for the 6th graders, 3 days for the 8th graders. 2 days of planning, 1 day of execution.
So what's gonna be the process for the 8th graders to be selected?
We have an application we put out for them.
Okay.
Yep. We already put that out there. So we want people that are passing their classes, that aren't getting in trouble, right? And you know, beyond that, it's just a teacher recommendation. That's the way that we put it out so far. We have had a lot of students that have shown interest so far. Now, you can check with their parents and make sure that they're off that day and that they're not going on vacation or something.
Can you go up a few slides? Hang on a second. I think it's the next one. Yeah, so it says monthly theme discussions, but we're only gonna do it 3 days, right? So that's just a general program?
We are,
We're
but
not
one
gonna
of
be
the
doing
one of the
that,
things
or-
to carry through is just that, remember, we're gonna have these 8th grade students that are gonna be like essentially like leaders within the building.
Okay,
And that's the chance for them to come up with something to try to keep the 6th graders, you know, to feel like welcome at the school. So I don't know what the themes will be and stuff like that.
all right, so it's gonna be a 3-day thing during the summer, but then it carries through
Yeah.
during the school year where the 8th graders can.
Yeah, it's not like
To
after,
be the mentor.
it's not after school things and stuff like that. So you can see, for example, like a lunch bunch, if they have a chance for them to get together, student-led projects to improve school climate. Those are things we do anyway, but it's
Right.
just, a lot of times it's done through either our NJHS or through student council and stuff like that.
No, I thought it sounded like it was 3 days in the summer and done, but it's 3 days is the start up and then it continues throughout.
Not a project though, nothing like that. No.
But it will continue through the school year, maybe.
Not like this, like
Right.
think of it, it's like their big project is the summer. The other part of it is just keeping the climate and culture in the school
Okay.
good.
Yeah, like the buddy mentor system.
Like we do, for example, at LOG, we have certain days where we do like dress down days for something. We have like a themed week for something, like that kind of stuff can tie in with this.
All right.
Okay.
All right, let's go with it.
Fantastic. So, Anthony, we're gonna move that one forward.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, and also you have the, copies of the slide, this brief slides you see up there, and the impact statement information. You guys have a copy of to drill down even further, but thank you. Hey, the next item there is,
Yeah, that's your name too.
Analytics. Hello, Gina. Hi. So this is informational as well, because we've already established it, right?
Mouse.
And Gina's gonna delve into it as far as.
Hold on, Mr. Wilson, hold on a second.
Sorry, Dr. Wilson, real quick, are you okay if I run back the log? Because one of my teachers is about to get his Outstanding Educator Award at 1 o'clock, and I'd like to be there when he gets there.
Absolutely, Pat, go ahead. Go
Thanks.
for it.
Have
Sorry, guys.
fun.
That's it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure.
See ya.
Appreciate you guys moving forward.
Nice, 10 minutes. You can make.
Next
Next item that we have up, and we have Gina Lennox here, to share with you, you received some information as well as that, is our, BCMEA, right? And we participated, it's our turn again, it's a music, I wouldn't say festival, but it's really a big, opportunity for the kids across the county, right, to go ahead and share and showcase their skills and the stuff that they've been working on all season long. And so I've asked Ms. Lennox to go ahead and provide some high level information about it. And she can drill down for it as well and give you some details along with the information that you already have. So Gina, if you would go ahead and explain, and I believe the last time we participated was 2018, is that correct?
That is correct.
That agreement was, it's rotating, but it has rotated through the various districts and it's our turn again. And it's a worthwhile endeavor and an opportunity for us to showcase our students now that it's with us. So Gina, if you would go ahead and share some things with the
Wait,
committee.
this is all the kids, right? That we're talking about?
So just for your information, Bucks County Music Educators Association, that's what BCMEA stands for. basically, for the most part, almost all of the school districts in Bucks County participate in this association of music teachers. We provide a festival every March where we have 6 different ensembles. We have 3 middle school ensembles and 3 high school ensembles in choir, band, and orchestra. And students from every district that participates send students to audition for this festival, and they are judged, and some students are selected to participate, and we bring in guest conductors every year to run those honor groups. And each year, the festival is passed to a different school to host. So like Dr. Wilson had said, we have hosted this several times. In my tenure, I've been here since 2002, we've hosted at least 3 times. Last time being 2018. Approximately 700 students across the county will be coming to our district to participate. And we will be using 3 different buildings. We'll be using Klinger Log and the high school to house those rehearsals over a 3-day period, culminating in 3 different concerts. A concert on Friday, March 13th for the choirs, and then 2 concerts on Saturday, March 14th for both the band and the orchestra. We are the smallest district that has the capability to host this festival. So, some of our smaller districts across the county, like, New Hope, Soulberry, to give an example, aren't able to host this due to their lack of facilities, but we are, and we've had great success doing it over the years. And there's minimal impact financially to the district when we do host. Most of the financial obligation is coming from DCMEA in terms of providing stipends to the guest conductors, purchasing music, providing food, all that kind of runs through the organization itself. Since this is passed on to different districts that host each year, there are some underlying costs that we eat, basically kind of our share of what we give with having our students participate year after year in other districts. In the impact statement that's being presented right here, you'll see some of the costs that we have put together. My colleague Chris Goppel put this together. He wasn't able to be here today. Mostly nursing. We need to have a nurse on site. That's part of our bylaws at DCMEA to provide that, along with security to keep everybody safe. And then, and I believe that is it. Those are the kind of the big ticket items. We do have some AV needs that are minimal. We need people to run the AV equipment for the concerts, so 3 concerts. And that's pretty much it. I'm not sure if I missed anything, Dr. Wilson. If you want me to speak to anything more specifically, I can certainly go into more detail.
Well, because we have the actual performance times on the Saturday, right? And then you have those rehearsal times. A lot of the times where the students are present and they're rehearsing in preparation for the culminating event, right? Those times are actually being captured during already operating hours. Therefore, the existing custodial team or existing security team or existing nursing will be present in order to support that. Now, these schools, just like when it was our turn, they are traveling with their teacher chaperones, right? So they're coming to our buildings and they're being supervised by their band chaperones from their schools, just like when it was our turn, right? Ours went there and we did a good job of supervising. Now, that being said, our security staff, our custodial staff operating during hours, so that's not incurring any additional costs during school hour times anyway. It's the culminating events when they have to perform. So when you see the hours as well, that's capturing those additional hours because it's a Saturday and we need to make sure that we're doing our part as a great host and having additional security present or facilities present during the after hours times. And to Mr. Lennox's point, we benefit from the same thing that the hosts have provided. It happens in like an 8-year cycle. So for the last 8 years, minus COVID, our students were there and we weren't weren't paying any additional charge because the host district was carrying the additional nursing or security or custodial. And then it's our 8-year cycle, so it's on us and we'll carry that as well. That's the agreement.
Yeah, I think I saw on the supporting documents, it was like $4,000 or something.
We're up again. I'm sorry, Gina, please
I'm
go ahead.
sorry, interrupt. I was gonna say, this past year, Ben Salem School District hosted, so all of this was happening in March this past year, Ben Salem, and the year before that, I think it was Penridge. So it kind of rotates to different districts each year.
Yeah, I think I saw in the supporting documents, it's like $4,000 or something, like, is there another set of documents that have the prices, I thought I saw on this? I think it's on the attachment for the agenda,
Absolutely.
and I think it's like $4,000 or something, it's not a lot.
Is the nurse responsibility just to students and not adults?
Yeah.
It is open to the public, right?
Right, well, I just need to know that, what is the, how is the nurse that's gonna be here, how is she gonna connect with the other schools to find out the health problems of these kids? Or do they?
So,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Okay, so we kind of do a double thing, at least it depends on the district. From BCMEA standpoint, we send out to all of our directors, a medical form that has to be completed and like just prior to the event.
Yeah.
And those
Or
documents
6,000.
are sent to Karen Pressler for her review.
Right.
Just to make sure we know any of our, high flyer medical needs, diabetics,
You would,
etc.
That's good.
And
Yeah,
then,
that's fine.
in addition, like on our end, like in each district, I know at least for Centennial,
To me, that's.
we have the same information on the Centennial end. For our Centennial students, likewise, many districts, like Salem, Council Rock, provide those similar forms as well. So we kind of have like a double catch on forms.
Okay.
And that information, we gather that prior to the festival so that our nurses can review that information.
Thanks.
That's a great question, though.
Yeah, 6,000 is.
Well, you have to know my
For
background
what
to
this
ask that
price,
question,
yeah.
so.
So Mrs. Lennox, you said we did this, 8 years ago. Do we have any numbers of public participation from them?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you quite.
Do we have any numbers of how many from the public, attended this event?
Number one, that would be, hard to estimate. I mean, we have about 700 students participating. If you times that by two, two parents, sometimes the grandparents attending the concert, but that's split over 3 separate concerts. So we do have family members coming in for those evening concerts and Saturday concerts. So we have that Friday concert, we'll have, community members outside the district, people coming in for an event, just like we would do for any evening concert here in the district. And then the same Saturday, there'll be 2 separate concerts, one in the early afternoon, like 1 o'clock-ish, and then another one at like 3.
Is there a fee?
And once again, those are during school hours, but also work hours. So like our facilities, our custodians, they're in our buildings all the way up until 10 o'clock in the evening or sometimes later. So we're capturing that time anyway that they can support or whatever. It's really that weekend, the weekend concerts that require the additional support.
Is there a fee for going to the concerts? For people to get in?
They do, we do charge a fee for that, but that is directed through BCMEA.
So that's not a chance for us to recoup.
That helps us provide subsidy for all the costs that BCMEA accrues with guest conductor fees, providing music, providing meals. We do feed the students Friday evening before the Friday concert, and then also before each of the other concerts on Saturday. But those are all run through BCMEA and part of that ticket price that helps us fund it for the following year.
Okay, so none of those fees go towards our costs.
Are they recycled, or do they return and do this every year? Or are they like different guest conductors?
The host school every year is charged with the responsibility of finding a guest conductor. We do have a number that we go back to year after year that we know and we like. We've kind of vetted over the years. Most of these conductors are college professors from local universities. I believe, I'm trying to think, we've had people from University of Delaware, we had Temple, we've also had previous retired music educators, even our own Joe Lavecchio came back 1 year after he retired to guest conduct the high school orchestra. So we go with people that we vet personally, that we know are solid people. So, and all of their clearances, of course, are all made available as well.
Again, one of the challenges is, again, this is pre-planning because, there's a lot of information that you can provide, but we have to lean forward because this is all the way for execution next year.
Yeah, there's about 1,000 small tasks that have to happen between now and March, beginning with solidifying those guest conductors because they book up very quickly. So we want to get those involved. We want to also
And locking down the dates.
Locking down the dates. We have a meeting I'm actually on the board of directors for BCMEA. We have our annual June meeting coming up where they're going to ask us, hey, Centennial, are we good to go? Are we ready to have those dates? If not, they need to go to a different district and have a contingency.
So this is really just part of a cycle, and this is not for until 26, or spring of 26.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's correct.
yeah, the cost is minimal before we get out of it.
We have to move this forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's no big deal. Thank you so much, Mrs. Lennox and
You're very welcome.
Dr. Wilson. And I guess we go back to Mr. Gabriel and the Parent Square.
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Here you go, Ms. Lennox.
You got me just out of time. I got a class coming in about 5 minutes.
All right, great, thank you.
All right, back to Mr. Gabriel and Parent Square.
If you can jump right to the cost slide, Mr. Rux, it is slide 7, package comparison on that one. If you guys remember last May, you had approved us to purchase a technology called ReachWell. It was a two-way translation and messaging app that allows our teachers and families to connect the sender and the receiver in the language that is more comfortable for them. But then it translates into a language that's understandable. So for example, if I'm a Russian-speaking parent that just got here and I don't really speak, if I don't speak English well, I can type my message in Russian, send it to my teacher, who doesn't speak Russian. They'll translate to English. Teacher can understand the message, respond in English, and translates it back into Russian. So that was an approval that you had given us last May. It was just under $21,000 for technology. It was a newer technology. We had a very slow, methodical rollout process. It really hasn't worked out the way we had hoped in terms of usability, syncing with our systems. These were things that we tested up front. We thought were going to go well. Did everything we could to try to get it to go well, and so we started getting an impasse with that particular company. We did a little bit more research this year, and we found a product called Parent Square. It is the Engage package on the left is the only one we're looking at. We were just showing you what's available. We are confident that this will be a better match to our district for the biggest reason is this is built and it is connected with Skyward, which is our student information system. We talked with a few other districts in the area that are currently using this, who are also Skyward districts. So a lot of the challenges that we thought we would be able to figure out with the prior product, that we were not able to figure out working with their team, wasn't for lack of effort. This very naturally integrates with Skyward. It layers right on top of Skyward. The cost for the first year is $4,000 higher, just over $4,000 higher, because there's a one-time implementation fee. Once we get beyond that, it's pretty much a wash. It's around $22,000 a year or so. So I'll have the exact numbers. We're asking for approval up to 31 for the 3-week package, but as we're talking, I'm gonna just ask, we're not gonna ask for that. We're gonna ask for, 225, 175, for the one package. We don't need the 3-week package. So basically it's just we're taking money that was going to one tool, slightly more expensive, and we're just gonna put it into a different tool. But we'll still be able to provide our families with the two-way translation services that we have been trying to provide over the past year to not great success.
Are you planning on sending this package as is to the whole board?
No, I'll strip out.
Because I was gonna say strip out
Strip out,
that
yeah.
engaged premium,
Yeah.
because otherwise we're gonna get, all kinds of
Let's
questions.
focus on the,
This was more, we were going informational at first, we like to show both. We decided to leave both, but after obviously our recent conversations around budget, we're gonna just focus on the left side, the engaged 25, 175. We'll do, in the notes of the cover sheet for the full board, we'll do current costs, future costs with, implementation fee, because I'm behind year one, I think it's within $1,000 or slightly over. I mean, it's very comparable to what we would have been paying for this if the current product, if we would have kept it moving forward. But this is a much more established product when it comes to its integration with Skyward. This was unfortunately just a product we hadn't come across a year ago in our initial research, but we'd always said, oh, it'd be really great if Skyward had an add-on that we could get and did this for us, and lo and behold, here it is. So we just didn't come across that in our research a year ago, but we did this year. So that gives us there's a lot more automatic integration. We're not then asking teachers to go into a third tool for this. It's all going to be, built in with Skyward. So we'll have a plan. And again, like we always do, a very slow, methodical, systemic plan to roll out next year. So that we'll be able to actually have it work in a way that will help both our faculty and administrators as well as our families, our parents.
So this is for all students, not a student who chooses to have it or family chooses to have it, right?
And this will be available to everybody.
Okay.
It'll only be for those that need it.
So it's targeted towards ELS students.
Well, yes and no. It'll be a messaging system now for everybody. The translation will work for folks that need it. But
Okay.
it'll be a way to communicate with all families and special.
yeah, makes sense. Same question.
So I can delete my Reachwell app.
Mr. Gabriel, maybe, I'm not sure how many people, when they get this on the agenda, will read the supporting documents and maybe just go to the slides. So maybe on the first slide, since you're gonna be taking out the other half, maybe that's where you put in the comparative prices where it's gonna cost the same, and where put in there that other districts are using it with Skyward and it works well. So in case people go right to the slides and don't look at the beginning stuff, they'll see the important thing.
We'll make one slide much simpler, like here's why, here's what it's replacing and what the cost is, here all.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah, makes sense. Cause I think it's a no-brainer.
We'll keep that very simple. And we can even replicate some of that on a smaller scale in the upper of the cover sheet for the approval.
Okay. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, let's move that forward as well, so. And we don't have any presentations, so then we have the 6 items that's being recommended, and we're basically gonna move them all forward. So making that motion,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Ginhart, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye,
Aye.
so it's passing 3-0, 6 items moving forward to the board meeting on the 27th. And I guess we are then ready to adjourn, with the next meeting being held on June 11th at noon.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr. Gabriel.